employees. So Tom and I have more of a free reign. Hey, welcome to the CrossFit Canada Podcast as the red light is spinning. The hope place for Canadian affiliate owners and coaches. And what we have today on the call is basically half of all of the level 4s in Canada on one podcast. We wanted to try to get all. I would say, Jocelyn, you can take David's spot for 2 as well.
I'll represent the Riley 4s.
Yeah, and David Whitty, if you are listening, reach out to us, please. We want to be friends with you. And then a couple others sending their regrets. But anyway, let's go ahead. And I know anyone listening to the tens of people listening would know potentially everyone. But let's go ahead and introduce ourselves. Based on my screen, bottom under me is Tom. Tom, yourself, your gym, when you passed your level 4, and we'll move on from there.
I'm Tom. My gym is in Toronto, technically North York. They're like the same, but not really. Breaker CrossFit. I passed my level 4 in May, I believe. I think it was May when it was, I finished it in April, but then it was passed in May. I think that's how that worked out.
Fabulous. And we'll go around the horn again. I don't know if my layout's the same as yours, but DK, you're next.
I'm DK. I own CrossFit Muskoka. It's about 2 hours north of Toronto. And I passed my level 4 in the beginning of 2024. Yeah.
Fabulous. And Jocelyn, round us off here.
I'm Jocelyn Riley in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, representing the West, I guess, out here. CrossFit Brio. I've had the level 4 since 2015. So I call myself one of the asterisk level 4s that I came through the very, very old system where I had passed the level 2 in 2009 before there was a level 3 and 4. And the level 2 was an in-person evaluation of your skills. And so then when I wrote the level 3 exam, when that came out, I got grandfathered into the level 4 because I'd already done the in-person evaluation. And then, I've been working on seminar stuff since 2020. And now I get to work as one of the level 4 assessors and helping people through the process of getting their level 4 now.
Love it. And then I guess myself, I do CrossFit Aurelia, and I passed early April 10th, just ahead of Tom, just to put that dab in there. So as we were just jamming about before hitting record, the kind of goal for this is Doobie, our, I'd say the fearless leader of Canada, just in his enthusiasm, is setting out a mission for Canada to have as many level 4s as possible, the most in the world per capita. And so our job today is to discuss it, share the highs and the positives, and maybe break the stigma down of that level 4 to make it really feel as achievable, more achievable than people feel it is. So interested and I guess what's cool about this conversation is we have all 3 almost iterations of the level 4 experiences in this, which is really great. So I'll throw it out to the group. First is now that this process it got launched in February, curious to hear what the scuttlebutt is, what people are hearing about it, if the perceptions, anything like that. So whoever wants to kick that off.
I always love to talk. Just before, my version of this is that Matthew, I consider a very good friend, and he's also my mentor directly. He has his lovely French accent, if people listening haven't seen him, and he has this way of challenging you. So he'll throw out something, and he'll say something along the lines of more information is not the answer, DK. We have to do and put ourselves in situations of challenge. And he gives me those kind of cryptic, poetic French advice all the time. But I think when it comes to the system at the level 4, I think the thing I'm seeing is people go and put themselves in uncomfortable situations. I know personally from Matt and Tom, and seeing them challenge themselves in things that maybe didn't fit as their style or the way they'd coached, and having to do it in a different way. And I think with the guidance of a mentor, through my working with Matt, through my job with CrossFit, both those things align for me. And I think when you're given someone who challenges you and pushes you in situations where you're forced to grow, it's grow or get off the bus is kind of the level 4 journey. I think the new system is set up to really push people in directions, and to have other coaches like Jocelyn, who have been doing it such a long time and have probably made the mistakes that we've made or are going to make, just make that transition a little smoother. So personally, I'm very excited for it, and I think some coaches are going to get really, really good by doing the process, regardless whether they pass or not. So I think my version of that is, it just seems to make sense, the new version. And I'm someone who passed the old version, so I really don't have any skin in the game in that regards.
I think for us in Canada, just geographically, the old system, the one that DK went through, the test sites were, there was 4 locations in the US. So it was time prohibitive, cost prohibitive for coaches to get themselves to those locations, sometimes often more than once. The new system, you're doing it from home. You're doing it from your gym, which is far more accessible to us. We're just far away, no travel required. But you're also getting the benefit of the development happening in your gym with your people in your environment. Whereas the previous version, you showed up in someone else's gym with a random assortment of people you'd never met before, coaching in a facility and a layout that you're not familiar with, which comes with its own challenges. And certainly if you can pass that, like DK did, that shows a level of adaptability as an excellent coach. But it also has less application to like, what are you doing day to day in the gym with your people? So for its practical application to making you a better coach in your environment, and then just its accessibility, I think the new version that we're working with now is like A+, 10 out of 10 as far as I'm concerned.
I really like that I can have my staff do it without it being a very, as we are in Canada, a very insane commitment in terms of financials. So we pay our staff we pay their level 2 if they have accrued enough hours, and we'll also pay them to pass their level 3. Just as like, we don't pay for level 3, but when you pass, you get a bonus. With the level 4, it was tricky on what to do up until recently, because I can't afford to pay to send someone to like one of those sites in America on the off chance that they'll be successful. And then what happens when they aren't successful? Do I send them? So having the ability to make it accessible is really handy. I also have a staff member going through it now, which is great, because he's getting feedback, and it's feedback that he's gotten from me, but sometimes it's a different way of saying it, which is very useful. And I think it's been like, it's already made a difference in his coaching and more importantly, I think his confidence, because I can tell him he's doing something well, but he's a very self-aware coach, as I think most people in this process are. And so he will be like, yeah, I did that well, but all these things I did wrong. But have someone else tell him the things he's doing right is almost the most valuable part, I'm saying, is he's getting a lot of positive feedback, which I think is good too, because I think when you're going through this process, I think it's like anything else. When you start coaching, you think you're great at it. And then like, there's this middle part where you're really unsure and you're like, I don't know anything. And then as you're going through this process, it can be very challenging. And so just having him finally getting maybe towards that curve where he's like confident. I wouldn't say like I don't think you can ever be amazing at coaching. It's too nebulous, but where he's more confident in his ability, and seeing him just already like hit that stride has been really great.
I always tell people who are writing or preparing for the level 3, the moment you feel like you don't know anything is like you're close. You're closer than you think you are. And yeah,
what is
like,
it? As the lake of your knowledge grows, so too do the shores of your ignorance.
Oh yeah,
okay, well, your way's way
Jocelyn.
cooler. Yeah, your way's way cooler, ain't it? Like
That's I can't remember who to attribute that quote to. That's not a me thing, but yeah.
Yoda. No, but to Tom's point, yeah, is like getting that feedback from just someone else. There's something about, the validation of it. It's almost like getting the teacher back in school. School's just out now, but like when the teacher would tell you you're doing something well, and parents are like, we've told you to do that 1,000 times, but when the teacher does, I want to talk about the ecosystem a little bit in the sense that I think one thing that's cool about this group of people is we're all CrossFit friends offline, and there was an element of competition about who could have the most best coaches and credentials in both written and unwritten, and how that kind of has encouraged us all to push a little better, and then maybe we can start to take those tides out from there.
I think, Matt, you hit something really important in that the fact that I don't think fitness is sitting still. And I think when we fall in love with CrossFit, that's awesome. But really, the bigger picture is health and fitness, and it's just not sitting still in terms of. We talk about Jocelyn. Like every time I see her, she's giving me new information on nutrition and diet that's blowing my mind. And I think in the world of how to move or when to apply it, this stuff is developing and growing. And I think if you are not seeking those areas of discomfort, like all of you just spoke about, or seeking those people who you respect that can give you the feedback, you're going to get left behind. Because I like to think in 5-10 years, certain things that we're getting excited about now become standard. And that kind of development grows. So I feel like if you're not seeking out the latest thing or getting excited about something, you will become stagnant. And we've all met those wonderful coaches who stopped chasing it, and then you just see it die in their eyes. And it's kind of sad, but it's the end of their journey. And the people that are still here, it's maybe Jocelyn can speak better than this, and Tom as well, but like they're people who constantly re-engage or reapproach the problem or the direction and get excited about it over and over again.
I mean, the magic of CrossFit is in the community, and for coaches and affiliate owners too. Like the number one reason we maintain our CrossFit affiliate is so that I can stay connected to you guys, to the affiliate community. And just like our gym members benefit from being pushed more by being in an environment of people that are trying to be better. Like I always say, when I first started CrossFit, I was doing it by myself, following CrossFit.com, posting on the message boards. There weren't a lot of girls. I could deadlift 185 and I just thought I was the strongest girl that ever lived. And I just had nothing to compare it to until I saw a girl of my similar size deadlift 300 pounds. And I was like, oh, I don't even know what I should be aiming at, kind of thing. And so then same thing with the community of affiliate owners, because we engage with each other, you start to see what other people are doing and you're like, oh, I should be pushing myself on a similar trajectory. Sometimes it's a little peer pressure. Sometimes it's a little nudge from your buddies. Mm-hmm. I taught a level 2 a little while ago, and we had 2 participants that are 2 of Canada's longest tenured affiliate owners, but they were coming back to take their level 2 again. And I was like, okay, enough of this. I was like, I don't ever want to see you at a level 2 again. You're going to get your level 3 in the next couple of years. And they were like, yeah, we know. And so giving them the little push, the little nudge. But if we just stay on our islands or stay in our little bubbles, sometimes those things don't rise to the top of the most urgent thing on your to-do list. But when you have a good supportive community, but also a little bit of pressure, it will make you finally put that at the top of your to-do list.
It's like that piece of men will die for points on the whiteboard. But if we are chasing, and then also failing within the margins of our experience, like none of us as affiliate owners are in competition with each other, just in the same way that in class, I'm not at competition with DK, but I'm not going to let him get that far ahead of me in the workout. Notice I didn't say I'll let him win.
Whoa. Have you seen him work out? I don't think there's much you can do if you work out with this guy.
That's what I mean. You're just hanging on for dear life. But in the spirit of competition, I know that it bugs Tom because he said it offline that I passed before him, but I know he's going to be pushing his staff member to pat or like help him at least, because then I'd be like, we got 2. Suck on that, dude.
Yeah. I mean, in the fall, we might have 3.
There we go.
Matt, I know you give credit to Doobie for pushing that, but I want to give credit to you for starting it, or maybe me versus you, because I've said for a long time, you know this, you had 5 level 3s. And I was like, I want CrossFit Brio to be the highest credentialed CrossFit gym in Canada. We had 2 level 4s and a level 3 and then a whole bunch of level 2s. And I was like, ooh, but you have 5 level 3s, which I don't have. And so there was this little like rivalry of us pushing each other. And now you guys are catching up on the level 4s. And I said, I've been putting that out there a lot because it was like secretly my goal, or not so secretly, is that I want Canada to have the highest density of level 3 and 4 coaches. And if we're all in this, rising tide lifts all boats idea, we're all in our centers of control in our affiliates and our communities, pushing, encouraging, helping people get better. Everything gets better. CrossFit gets better. The brand gets better. The fitness that people achieve in our affiliates gets better. So Little friendly competition is good for all of us.
Yeah.
It's a Monday, and every Monday, the first thing I do upon waking is I send my coaches a journal article. And the ones that are studying for the level 3 right now get one from the list of study articles that are reading for study and preparation for that. And then they slowly chip away week by week. And then by the time they finish that study list, we have a conversation pretty quickly. So I may be in a solid third place or maybe even fourth with Tom, but my guys are coming up fast. Please do not sleep. They are all studying aggressively.
Something that comes to mind with that, like out of the now 4, actually soon to be 5, we have one just applying and another one on the way too. But the point is, I think maybe some folks listening to this will think, okay, well, this is really great, but like, I don't have any full-time coaches. And aside from myself, out of the 5, I was the only full-time coach. The rest were part-time coaches. And I'm wondering if it's the same for you guys, but also, is in the ecosystem overall in Canada, like how many either coaches or affiliate owners are thinking like, but that's not for me. There's no way I could pass the level 3. There's no way I could pass the level 4. And like, I think everyone can, if you care about this thing. I'm curious about your guys' thoughts.
I don't think when I hear the accreditation, and maybe this is me, but when I go to do a drop in at a gym and I see, a level 4's taking it, which happened to me in London, Central London, as you mentioned. And then I also had a level 3 the day before. I know that's going to be a good class because I don't think you get those qualifications without caring. That's not to say the level 1, level 2, you don't become an amazing coach off the back of it, but by the time you hit level 3 and level 4, the commitment to that journey has been made. And so you get someone who cares, which is often the best attribute you can get for a coach, part-time and full-time. And to speak, Matt, like all my coaches are part-time, but the hardest find is finding the ones that care, so that when I message them first thing on a Monday and they have a job to go to, they're still excited to read the article. Are you all yours full-time, Tom?
No, I have
full-time.
I have 2 full-time coaches. Well, I have a full-time head coach, and I have a full-time facilities and revenue manager who coaches 5 hours a week, but she has other roles. And then I have part-time coaches, but we have coaching development every Monday, and all but one of my part-time coaches came in on their lunch break at Monday for coaching development. Right. So it's in-person coaching development. Yeah. And so they're all fired up about it, and it puts a lot of pressure on me, because I like these people are showing up. I need to give them. So what happens is they come in at 11:30, and then sometimes we'll do like an exercise. Like we went through the developing the professional coach, the scaling worksheet. We went through that a couple of weeks ago. Sometimes we'll watch a class together. Sometimes I also like to give people like some space. So today I talked to them about using like some of the things that Matt kind of talked about in his article, but professional coach, but just how to find people's wins or setting people up for wins in class. And that kind of like gave them a sheet with everyone's name on it. And then I went away and I watched them, and I actually heard it, which was really neat. In my office, I heard because the person running the class was also doing it. All of a sudden I heard people cheering a whole lot more in the class just for people's wins. But so I'll just give them something like that to do. It's like, hey, you're going to find wins. And we just talk through the process of doing that, like kind of not manufacturing wins, but just making sure you're highlighting when a new member comes in. You give them a task. They can't do that task. You coach them to be able to do that task. And you make sure you celebrate that you did that. And so stuff like that with our part-time staff really shows commitment.
When you go to their classes, do you feel them learning? Like my favorite experience is when you can feel a coach, like they've been studying something or they're excited about it. And then you as a participant, for me, it doesn't matter how long I've done it or if I've heard it before, like hearing some come out and like go after my burpee and start making it better. That gets me really excited because I'm like, it just got a little bit better today.
And I've really noticed it with Brandon in the last couple of weeks since he really started the level 4 process. He's really like taking some of those things on. And I've also made more time to watch his classes as well to help him through the process. And just seeing them so the feedback he got from his assessor today, actually at his meeting this morning, he said that the assessor was very like happy with the progress he's made, like astonished. And it was like, well, it's because he's putting the work in. but I can see that progress in his classes as well. Just the effort he's putting into the things he's working on.
I went to one of Tom's classes, and it must have been like 9 years ago, and he told the class that the hamstrings were the Batman of the body. And
The Dark Knight.
he was teaching box squats, and it's stuck in my head ever since. This was literally like 12 years ago, Tom. He was teaching box squats, and he was like, the hamstrings are the Batman of the body. And I've been repeating that in classes since. So like when you're in those classes and people are learning and developing, like you get those moments of inspiration wherever you are on your own journey. And it's an exciting place to be.
Well, I mean, to that, when you came, because you came and taught at my gym, I think last year, 2 years ago, when you were prepping for your level 4, and the way you coached the box jump, I stole it. I was like, I just took it. And I was like, I've never seen that done before.
Mine now.
Yeah, I've done that. I've never seen it coached that way. That's really good. I'm going to take that.
The majority of the nutrition advice I give is also Jocelyn's.
Thanks. Trying. When I first applied for seminar staff and prepping to teach the breakout groups, I prepared these massive Google documents of like almost word for word what I was going to say, every single fault I could anticipate, having as many cues as I could come up with to deal with the faults I could anticipate coming up. And then what it's turned into is now I just keep all the possible cues going, and I get the privilege of dropping into tons of CrossFit gyms, and I try to take classes from as many other coaches as I can. And it's just this massive list of fun things that I heard and different ways of phrasing things. And basically every good cue I have now or way of teaching something, I just stole from somebody else. So that always be a student. I think I get so much benefit. My affiliate is so much better because I have the opportunity to drop in and take classes from so many other coaches and affiliates. You know, and frankly, sometimes it's the instructive analog of ways I don't want things to go, or, oh yeah, it feels weird if I'm the new person in the class and nobody introduces me to anybody and nobody says hi, and just pure hospitality things are missing, or that was too fast, or that was rushed, or people were confused, and you learn things just from being on the other side of it a ton. And then obviously when things go well, you're like, oh, well, I'm definitely going to steal that too. But I think you can learn from the positives and the negatives.
That's so true. Like, especially if you hear one of your own faults, like if a coach does a fault that you're guilty of.
Mm-hmm.
I know I've been in classes before, and like they'll do something and it will like not irritate me, but I'll just take a mental click. I'm like, oh, music wasn't going during the general or something along those lines. And I was like, it felt cold. And then my next class I'll imply it, but it's even worse if they do something that you're guilty of. Like, oh, this person's way too excited about the squats. And I'm like, oh, I definitely do that way too much.
DK's too excited about something? What?
Yeah.
Never heard
not everybody's as excited as me about it. Sometimes got to meet them where they're at. Yeah. Do you find, Matt, that you get into other affiliates? Because there's only like your gym at CrossFit Gym, and then we are the closest one, and we're still an hour and a half away from you.
No, that's like proximity wise, the 3 in Barrie are only 20 minutes south of Aurelia. But I haven't, not as much as I would like, but that's what's cool. What was cool about and I would encourage anyone still doing like in the process to do this, but it was dropping in and guest coaching at other gyms. He's got to guest coach at Muskoka, which was really cool. DK does something really cool with his team that he's like, hey, you're coaching at my gym today. You get to do what we're doing. Guess what? Everyone come give Matt feedback today. Peter, Abby, let's go. And he's got the printout on his little wall there. But then getting to go back to CrossFit Barrie, which was the gym I started CrossFit at, and guest coach there. It's only 25 minutes south of me as well, and Sam and Nanny, and participate in a class there. And you get to see different communities, but then I think part of it is that like dead stare they give you because maybe they're hearing something for the first time, or like, oh wow, this is different than how we usually do it, but I kind of like it. And I don't know, it's like you're reeling with those. It's good practice, I guess, for dealing with those emotions that can happen in real time. As Tom said, we're all so self-aware as coaches, so we have 5 different internal dialogues happening along the way.
A lot of the homework I've been assigning to my level 4 candidates, I guess we could call them, is film more classes and watch them back. Like, it doesn't just have to be the
Yeah.
3 that we get to debrief together. And lots of people are the head coach or the owner, and they're not in a culture of feedback where anyone's ever watching them do the thing. And at first, people really hate that. Nobody likes listening to their own voice or watching themselves on camera. But really, by the time you get to that point, like you said, DK, like, you already care, you already have your level 3, you already have a lot of experience, and you know what the criteria is for saying this is going well. And when you just watch it back, and people will realize, like, oh my God, I'm talking for like minutes at a time and nobody's moving, or I'm not explaining things well, or that person is bored. And you can see those things. You don't even necessarily need the mentor involved in that situation. There's a ton of development from just being ruthlessly self-aware and brutally honest with yourself about those things. One of the assignments I gave one of my candidates was, take that class and I want you to like put it on the laptop, and I want you to follow along with the class as if you are in the class and you're the coach for yourself, and just see how it feels. Did it feel like you were standing around too much? Did it feel like it was moving too fast? Like, be the participant to your own class. And he's like, oh, I never thought of that before. And I'm like, yeah, give it a whirl. Like, be a student in your own class.
So I think something that's crucial from my perspective to mention is that for people listening, before this mentor system existed, passing the exam, I still did it. I seeked out mentors. I had regular meetings with Matthew Debreck, like I've mentioned. I did some stuff where Best Hour of Their Day had a thing where they were like, send us a video and we'll evaluate it. I did that live. I had a friend in LA, Deuce Gym, Logan Gelbrick. He's amazing. I had him give me challenges like Jocelyn's talking about. The only difference is I had to like borrow, beg, and steal these people's time, where now it's kind of all done for you. And I remember one of them, he was like, go and explain the internet to an old person. And that's what Logan gave me. And I had to like go and like find the oldest person I can. And I think I didn't explain the internet. I think I went and explained like Instagram or something. And then I stole that advice. I've kept that advice. Like when I got onto staff, I taught my son a push jerk. He's 4 now. And he push jerks better than me and Matt. And it's because I couldn't waste any words. I'm not boring a 4-year-old. It's got to be fast and exciting and fun.
We've always joked in our gym that coaching the kids class is the level 5.
Yeah.
Not easier. It's much harder.
I'm curious about your guys' perspective, though, is because I do think, like, while all these ideas are really great and really helpful, there's an undertone that should be mentioned about, like, if you're doing the thing anyway. And it circles back to like a lot of the coaches that I have, even just on the staff, like some of them have been doing CrossFit for 10, 12, 15 years. And they're like, it's just going to be the thing I'm going to do forever. And then they're now like, I'm just going to coach CrossFit forever. And I think there are many people that fall into that. But then as we've talked about, like, okay, but not at this gym. You're still going to like level up every time. And so how much value is it to be like, if you're going to do the thing, then you might as well go up the ladder, and then rather than staying at the same level, and you can just do these little tiny things or plant these little seeds along the way.
You got to have people around you that are exciting. You know what I mean? Like the people on this call, like I'll hang out with either of you for a little bit and then I'll leave being like, oh my God, I really want to go and try rucking, or I really want to go and do whatever it is. You need people like that.
I also feel like I think it's important to seek out challenge. And to me, it just seems boring not to, if that makes sense. And then also, like, I don't think people understand how much better they could be. Like, I kind of want to go back and look at some of the videos I filmed for my first mentor I hired when I failed my L4 the first time. And just be like, what was this video like? And then look at it compared to like maybe some of the videos I filmed when I was prepping for the in-person online L4, and just seeing the difference. And I mean, I kind of want to go back and kind of like make a little compilation, but I think that I think when you're developing anything like a snatch or coaching, and I tell this to my staff, the progress is small and you need those snippets to see it. And so I think it's really neat because now that it is online, you will almost have those snippets. And I think that's also the benefit of filming yourself, is you get to see your progress. I think you see that with your athletes a lot of the times. Like I had someone today who had some knee pain, so she couldn't skip and she was really frustrated because she wasn't still able to skip because her knee was bugging her, but she was doing full push-ups on her toes, where when she started with us, she was like doing push-ups onto a GHD as elevated. And it was like less than a year, but she didn't even see that progress because of the other things she couldn't do. And so I think the process is good at highlighting what you can do and seeing your improvement or your progress.
This is to Tom and Matt a little bit more than Jocelyn, but do you find that seeking this level 4 through the mentorship thing, did it bleed into any other parts of your life?
You'd have to have other parts of a life outside of CrossFit for that to happen.
That's the real answer right there. There's a life outside of CrossFit? What?
Yeah, like, I'm sorry, can you explain the question a little more?
I think for me, it challenged me, and I think that was good. But I think I sought the level 4 and the mentorship because of who I am as a person. Like, I'm not someone who's going to shy away from something. And also, like, once I realized there was something I could be better at it was very important to me for no other reason than I wanted to prove I could. But I think that pursuing the level 4 has made me a better person, because some of the things I needed to work on from a coaching standpoint really like have bled into the other parts of my life, in terms of just like some of the presence and attitude stuff, or even some of the ways like you explaining something to, like, just teaching and just becoming very more like forthright and particular about like the words I use when I teach something. But just some of the steps I've taken in terms of like progressing myself as a coach have bled into my other parts of my life. Like I would say I don't want to be like cheesy and say it's made me a better person pursuing the level 4, but I definitely think it has made me a more well-rounded person that people prefer to be around a little bit more.
Like you said that, but I know we all instinctively know, like, the member that's not going to leave is the one that just got the muscle up.
Yeah.
Because they think that everything's possible. Or in that new beginner who's like PRing every single week comes to your class and they're like, well, of course I'm going to get a personal best today. And those, like, that mindset shift happens in fitness, in the classes, but like, it's got to be a certain amount in the coaching situation where you're like, oh no, I need to be seeking the parts of my life that I find hard, not just being like, oh, I need to keep pushing the things I'm good at.
I would say, like, so in that regard, kind of, yes, it still applies to, again, like, just my day-to-day work and business coaching and owning the affiliate is the process. And Joe, working with Joe Maisley, Tom and I got to share a mentor that way, which was really cool. Taught me patience, and just like patience in the class, patience in the member. And like, I guess if I think about it, like patience in just the basics. Like, we can get to I've spent time in the complicated realm, and it led nothing but frustration. I would get frustrated at the member. I would take it personally that they wouldn't push their knees out. And then it's like, oh, you know what? Here's what you're doing really well today. You showed up. Bam, that's the first win. Okay, cool. You put your feet in the right spot and you're trying to move your hips first. Hell yeah, we're 3 for 3 now. This is great. Anything else, we can put it off to the side. And I've been more patient with myself, and then my coaches probably second. Like, hey, mess up. It's cool. Start and end the thing on time, and you'll be good to go. We'll get better on the next one. Just try. And then to the members, and it's like everyone has been having a lot more fun as of late because of this process.
That's so cool to hear. Like, don't we all need a little bit more fun?
We're onboarding a new coach for the first time in, I don't know, 5 or 6 years, quite a long time. And my homework to her for some of the first classes she was coaching was, I want you to just walk around the room and deliver positive feedback. I was like, I want you to look at people move. I want you to find someone doing it well. And I want you to just tell people what they're doing well. Great job pushing your knees out. Good job on the hip extension. You know, things like that. And I was like, I just want you to build rapport with people where you're noticing what they're doing well at first. And I was like, 9 out of 10 are going to be positive pieces of feedback. And of course, if somebody has a rounded back on a deadlift, you're going to deal with that. But I was like, I don't want you to get in that zone of all you do is just scan the room for who's doing it wrong. I was like, I want you to get in the mindset of scan the room for who's doing it right. And you be 9 out of 10 times the deliverer of good news, because she's inheriting a gym full of people that move well. They've been coached well and they've been doing this a long time, very experienced people. So in general, there's not a ton of faults to deal with. But I was like, I just want people to get used to you being a positive light in their day. You're like, hey, thanks. Glad you noticed. Thanks.
Jocelyn, do you find that onboarding someone is much easier now you're doing the role in developing people for the level 4?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. And even, I mean, I just feel like I get to do my affiliate with the cheat codes on from being on this side of things, is like just watching these other coaches coach classes and seeing things. And, like you said, DK, you reflect on things where like, oh, I maybe do that a little too much, or talk too long, or indulge myself in too many words sometimes. And then when you see it, I go into my classes and do a better job.
I wonder if like having that person give you feedback, part of the level 4 part of being on staff is that you are given feedback on a regular basis, and you get to see people deliver feedback really, really well. I always think of Jason McDonald. I don't think he said a word that he didn't mean. He's never wasted a breath by saying an extra sentence. He does that really, really well, if you're not familiar with him. And like, I see that, and then I think about my own coaches of like, my excitement can often lead me add 5 extra sentences to something that could have been said in 1. And I wonder if you're an affiliate owner and you're not seeking out the level 4, I wonder if you're missing a trick of just getting to see a mentor who does it regularly deliver feedback to someone who's already a level 3, right? So you then go, like for Matt and Tom, you now get to develop your coaches within your affiliate, and you've had an example of someone who can deliver feedback really well.
Yeah, I would say that's probably, now that you mention it, the most important thing I got from the entirety of like when I started my level 4, when it was first announced for the in-person and it wasn't successful for me, to when I passed, was the amount of feedback I got. And just watching, I also worked with multiple mentors over that period of time, which I was really fortunate, because they each had their own style of giving feedback. And just because the first person I worked with, Pete, was Pete Shaw for a long time. And the way he gave feedback was so different than the way I'd ever gotten feedback before or ever given feedback. It was, Pete, it was so positive, right? Almost. But it was just so good because it was very effective. But then also I could be like, yo, I kind of want it a little bit more straight to me. Like, just tell me what I'm doing. And he was able to adapt, and just by having a conversation about how to give and receive feedback, or what I look for, because he kind of asked me what I was looking for when it came to getting feedback. And just having that honest conversation was really valuable. And just like asking someone, it's simple when you think about it, but just asking someone how they like their feedback, like just that tip alone has made a big difference in how I mentor my own staff.
I'll say
Jocelyn,
that
you've been given a lot. Is there someone that gives feedback really well that sticks in your mind?
Well, I get to work with Jason McDonald most often because his seminar staff were in Western Canada, and he's my mentor in our hierarchy. And for 6 years, I've been studying and even watching him deliver level 2s also. I'm like, how is this guy able to say some things so blunt that are should be hurtful, and yet people appreciate it from him? Like, he makes people want to be better. He's this guy that seems to hold up a new level and knows that you can get there, but he can be like really blunt in a way that's not brutal. And I've just been watching it like for 6 years, being like, how is he doing that? It's like the ultimate presence and attitude or charisma or something in the delivery. No extra words, no sugarcoating the message, just telling you straightforward. He's like, hey, you're not doing this well, but I know you can do it better. And really trying to internalize or learn from how he's able to do that.
Does he give you feedback when you're driving?
On my drive, yes, all the time. On my car selection, when I pick the rental cars, he always tells me if I picked one that's not cool enough, of course. But I will say, so like on a different front, because like DK will understand this, like you said, you work on seminar staff. We're just in a culture of people that both give and receive feedback with no hurt feelings. Like you just, there's not a lot of ego. There's not a lot of insecurity. It's just what we're used to. But then I also have to check myself and remember that like out in the real world or my coaches and my affiliate, it's not necessarily the same. And even if I go into like a restaurant or a store or a business, it's like, oh, you can't just give them feedback on what they're doing well or not well. And I have to remember that like, this is not how the real world works. And being a little more gentle, or I guess to Tom's point is like, checking in with the person in front of you of like, what are they okay with receiving and how much feedback can they take and how unaccustomed to this are they, and how much do you have to build rapport and have them warm up to that environment, that you can't just count on everybody being used to being in a culture of feedback. It's not a normal thing.
So the thing that Matt was speaking about at the end of a CrossFit Muskoka class, if you have coaches in your class, they will gravitate to the whiteboard, and immediately after you're done, everyone will go around and say,
they were summoned on command.
Yeah, they know what they're doing, and they'll give a piece of positive and a piece of negative. And everybody, no matter if they're brand new on staff or even a CrossFit coach that's not in our affiliate, will be invited in. They'll give one positive and one negative. And when we first did this, they were terrible at giving anything negative to each other because they didn't want to hurt their feelings. And when we did it long enough, that shift started to happen because people started getting so much more from some of the feedback that was challenging them, that I then had to do the other thing, or like, we still got to say positive stuff, like, and watching that balance happen over the years, they're now exceptional at it. And I'll see it happen in classes I'm not in. Like, someone will be like, oh, the feedback I got, and I'll think to myself like, oh, I wasn't in that. And they're like, no, we do it every single time. It's such a habit and a culture that they very much lead it. And they'll also come up after my class, and they're super excited to tell me when I messed up.
Well, I think about, as like the vacuum of our affiliates, and not our 4 affiliates, but just anyone listening, and just nobody knows what they don't know. And I think it's common, Jocelyn, you'll be able to echo this the most, but I know that DK and Tom either have hosted level 2s or at least been enough where, but the seeing is there, but the correcting drill becomes a little tough because people just are a little uneasy with trying to give those corrections. And I think some coaches who are passionate about this thing, but they just don't want to single out their member. Or at least it's the perception of, I'm going to call reps, but I don't want to single this person out or make this person feel uncomfortable or this or that. But what you guys have all just highlighted is like, we as coaches want feedback, which is coaching. We want to be coached. We thrive it. We crave it. And again, in helping with working with a mentor is learning better ways to give corrections in class, often rooted in positivity, not the sandwich, not the lame criticism sandwich, but just like focusing on building the positive habits. All of a sudden your members just start craving it, like unsatiably, that they want to be coached. They want to be coached so bad. They don't want to be told what they're doing wrong, but they want any little tidbit that they can to get better. And it's not singling them out. It's coaching them. And that's really what this process is about. I'm curious about your guys' thoughts on that.
I had a good sideline conversation with some participants at a level 2 recently. And it was kind of that question, like, what do we do with the members that are like not receptive to coaching and stuff? And I was like, well, you're going to have a culture of your gym, and it's going to filter for certain people, and it's going to filter out certain people. And so you're not going to be for everyone. You can't possibly be. So you have to decide, what's your filter for? Do you want a gym full of people that don't want coaching and are not receptive to it? Or do you want a gym full of people that are there to work hard, or there to get better, seek out feedback, want to be coached and want to improve? And they're like, well, when you phrase it that way, then it's super obvious. And you're like, well, if you're going to offend someone or make someone leave your gym because they're getting or not getting what they want, you would want to filter out the people that don't want feedback, don't want coaching, don't want to improve. And you would want to keep the people that do want coaching, do want to get better, do want to improve. So, and in that, we're in our small group in the level 2, and one of the guys pipes up and he's like, I want coaching. Like, I want to be coached. I'm the best athlete in my gym, but he's like, I want feedback. And I was like, and I want to spend my time with a gym full of people like this. This is purely from a self-indulgent perspective. Who do I want to spend my days with? I want to spend my days with guys like that. And I don't want to spend my days with people that are like big egos or too cool for school and don't want the coaching. So what I'm going to do is continue to deliver a level of service that caters to the people that I want to spend my time with, which is the people that want to be coached. And if someone doesn't like that that's happening and they leave, bye-bye, that's what you got to do. Whereas if you hold back your coaching and you dial it back to keep the grumpy person happy, well, guess what? The guy that wants the coaching leaves because he's not getting coached, So it's pick one.
I think people have to you also have to break down people so they have to trust that your incentives are pure. Like if Warren Buffett gave you financial advice, you'd be hanging off his words. Where if someone else who is in your life that hasn't had that success gave it, it wouldn't have the same impact, even if it was the same advice. And I think an important thing coaches need to remember, because if you're listening to this call, you care about how you coach and what you do. And my challenge to them would be, when you give that feedback, stay with that person for the next rep to see the success, because that little cue you gave them about keeping their hands close to their body, that's a great cue. And they've been told off for their hands being too far away from their body. But it's the double under that happens in the next rep that makes them go, oh, well, this person wants me to succeed. And I know from experience that, like, when Jocelyn's given that cue, her face is beaming when they get that double under. And the first thing that person sees is a coach who's just as excited for their success. And that relationship is now cemented, like, hey, next time she gives me something, it's because she wants success from me. And even if the next rep or cue didn't work in the same manner, that trust is already there. They're like, hey, she's trying to make me better at this. And when I am better, she's going to celebrate with me. And so then next time that feedback comes, we're already patterned. I think sometimes we give the cue like, hey, straighten your arms. And then we like move on to the next thing. Yeah. And we forget to just be there, be like, hey, doesn't that feel a little bit more secure? Or how does that feel for you? Or like, and because sometimes they'll say, oh, it felt worse. And then you get to sit with them a little and give a better cue, you know?
Well, and I think what's interesting, and this is going to dovetail into you, Tom, but I think like DK, especially, like your gym, for those who have never been, we call it like a little more boutique. It's smaller in square footage, very intimate member base. But then when you go to like Tom, like you've got a big gym in the city. And if you guys aren't like putting that effort into getting those touch points into people, like it can be very easy for a member to just not receive a touch point all week.
Yeah.
And right. And like, so and from a business standpoint, not coaching them means that person doesn't get seen, felt, or heard. And that's how people all of a sudden drift away.
Well, I think that's why coaching the positive is really important. And that's something I've noticed, that everyone thinks they're okay at teaching, but most people aren't. And when we've onboarded a new staff member and I was doing some development with her and she was coaching, and I basically said, hey, let's teach that a little different. And she basically said, well, I'll correct it when they mess up. And I said, well, if you teach it well, all you have to do is say, hey, good job doing it. Right. And me personally, I like that because I'm lazy and I just have to be like, hey, you guys all nailed it. Let's move on. Yeah. That goes back to coaching the positive as well. And I think the other thing is, because we have a very diverse community with where we are, is just learning how to give feedback, again, as we talked about, but pushing back. Like when someone doesn't respond to you, take ownership of that. And that's what I say to my class. I'm like, if someone didn't want to be coached today, what could you have done differently? Because I think, and everyone's guilty of this, oh, that person just didn't want coaching. It's like, well, no, they didn't want coaching from you in that moment. So why? Are they normally like that, or is something going on in their personal life? If you have a second, chat with them, or now that we have someone, have the person we have on staff to chat with them. Mm-hmm. Or maybe just how you delivered it was a little bit not what they were looking for. And so I always challenge my staff, because we always go through, we have leadership meetings on Tuesday, and we go through who's like problem clients. We don't have any problem clients. I don't want to say problem clients, but just like, hey, so-and-so had issues coaching so-and-so's class. So my head coach would be like, okay, well, I've coached that person. They're great. I don't have that problem. Let's chat with how it could be a coaching issue. And sometimes it isn't, but I think a lot of the times, and I think Pete really challenged me on this, a lot of the times that pushback, like go in there with the assumption, like DK said, not everybody wants to be better, but not everybody's going to trust you. And so you have to like see how long it takes you to build that trust, and just go for little wins. And you're not always going to get it right, obviously. Like I've messed it up more than anyone probably. But when it doesn't go well, learn from it. Be like, okay, that person didn't want coaching from me today. What could I have done differently? And what I've noticed with both myself and my staff, it's like, it's just little words. And this is something Joe pointed out. It's like, don't ever use the word can't, right? And it's like, it should be, hey, you can't do a pull-up yet. It's like, why would you tell that person they can't do a pull-up yet? I know you're just trying to get them scaled, but just say, hey, if you're still working towards your pull-ups, do that. And just those little changes, and it's not something anybody would notice unless they were looking for it, has had such a big shift in just how people respond to my classes. And what you said earlier about the fun was there, but just really being aware of your language. And I think that's something that without the level 4, I would have never pushed myself to do.
Okay, so do you say, does anyone have their muscle up yet? I'm just using muscle up as an example. Or do you say, for the people that are working towards their muscle ups?
Yeah, and I also like, because we have older clientele as well, hey, who has a muscle up today? If you have a muscle up today, right? So today we had muscle ups as one of the options in our workout. We had a little benchmark day today. But I have a member who's 55 plus. When he started with us, he couldn't do a pull up. He can do a muscle up now, but he's 55 plus. Not every day is going to be a muscle up day. And I was like, hey, muscle ups day. He's like, no. But at the same time, if he had said no, and then during the progression he looked great, I'd be like, Myron, too bad today's a muscle up day, which I've done in the past, right? But just having that conversation versus, and it goes both ways. If I'm like, hey, Myron, go do a muscle up, and he doesn't feel like it, that's going to erode that trust a little bit, even if I think he can. But I don't know how he feels that day. I know he can maybe physically do a muscle up, but just making those conversations almost positive, like, hey, do you have muscle ups today? No, I don't think I want to do that.
And that's full circle about those whole things about like believing like, well, this coach is going to make me go and challenge myself and achieve things that, like, you know, when we teach senior classes, it's the same thing. Like, hey, we're going to heavily spot, and I'm probably going to put you on the high ranks. Now, maybe that's a heavily spotted static hold, but like, you need to know that you're not excluded from this journey of like getting better, feedback, positivity, development. Like, that's everybody.
Yeah.
I love that's probably not the one thing. There's obviously many things that keep me going daily, but like when I coach every day, like being so creative with words, I'm like, all right, if you're taller, I'm going to need you on these bars today. If you are more efficient in your proximity to the ground, I'm going to have you over on these bars.
Oh, I will call people short. I mean, like, hey, I was like, hey, you're better at burpees. I'm tall. Yeah. Burpees are hard. You're better at burpees.
Tom,
I usually say the fun size people. More on the fun size crew as or one like of the people of the fun size crew.
I go younger, like my younger members, I'll have you here. If you have like more seasoning or crispiness, you'll be here. And then they all laugh like, oh, we're the extra crispies.
Ours is if you're currently wearing ankle socks, you are going to do this. If you're the ankle socks generation, if you're wearing crew socks, you're.
I think like, though, you know, to kind of bring it back and start to think about putting an end on this, not that we have to end now, but again, many conversations, and I know like Jocelyn, and Tom, you were there too, when we were in on the hike in Banff at the affiliate gathering in Banff. It was so cool because it was just these like pockets of conversations throughout this hiking trail, and all talking about CrossFit coaching. Someone would come up beside you, hey, I've been meaning to ask you about this, but you know, it's like people nervous about pursuing the level 3, people nervous about retaking the level 2, whatever that is. And then you know that there's people listening to this who are nervous about it. But like, you know, as maybe we're just all, well, we are all CrossFit nerds, but like you hear about like all these opportunities to improve and have fun, improve and have fun. And like, why wouldn't you want to pursue that? Why wouldn't you want to like see how much cooler, like what insect is under this coaching stone?
Matt, I had a full circle experience recently. Like when I was a young guy, I used to read Men's Health. And you'd get the magazine, or like, I know Jocelyn has talked about like Muscle and Fitness, and you'd open magazines, and magazines were like cutting edge information on fitness. You'd read something and then be like, whoa, like, oh my God, I'm going to try this out. And I was in a British magazine store and WH Smith, and I went to go grab one, and I realized something, that like my friendship group are way more cutting edge than the worlds of magazines now. And in fact, like just the CrossFit website alone has got more information, the journal archives, the YouTube channels, the courses that are available. And that's before I get into like the people I'm lucky to have in my life. Like they're way more challenging, cutting edge, like, and whether I think of Jocelyn's nutrition stuff or Debreck's breathwork stuff, or like listening to Jason talk about like volleyball warm-ups, like they seem obscure, but like if you haven't spent time with these people or around these people, or like with one of the mentors developing your level 4, like they're super exciting and they're all on a big kick on something, and they're all very excited to be like, no, my latest thing is, I've spoken to Jocelyn about like satiation and stuff like that, and like she'll get really excited about those kind of things, and then I leave like, oh my god, this is cutting edge, and then I start doing my own research. And you need to surround yourself, and if you're listening to this call and you're in an affiliate where you are the top of the intellectual knowledge point and you're teaching others, like get yourself that mentor, whether you're doing the level 4 or level 3. Like I think they have those processes available regardless.
I think one of the things that JMax says all the time to people at level 2s is it's possible that people be like, oh, I've been coaching for 10 years. I've been coaching this way for whatever. He's like, well, it's been possible that you've been doing it wrong or poorly for so long that you've started to believe your own bullshit. And you've started to believe that it's right just because you've been doing that way. We see that at level 1s. People are like, oh, this is just how I squat. My stance is just narrow. You're like, but it's not working for you. But you've been doing it poorly or wrong for so long that you've bought your own bullshit that it's right. Just length of doing it doesn't make it right. And you have to have those moments of refresh on your technique, refresh on your skills, refresh on your enthusiasm. And, you know, the question I want to know to you guys now, that's like, okay, well, we all have our level 4. Like, now what? What do you do now? You know, how often do you go back and reread the level 1 manual? How often do you go back and look at the videos on CrossFit.com from 15 years ago? Like, how often do you go drop in and take a class from another affiliate? How often do you video yourself coaching? Like, once you get to this sort of top level, now it is kind of on us to seek out those moments of refreshment. And every time I do one of those things, I come back ready to run through a brick wall of my affiliate, like so excited about CrossFit again, or a new thing I want to try, or like, that's how I'm going to do this till I die. Because if I just kind of kept doing the same thing all the time, you start to believe your own bullshit. It starts to get boring. You start to get a little salty and jaded about it, and it loses the magic. And so at all stages along the way, you have to seek out those moments of refreshment in the knowledge and the enthusiasm and the skills and everything.
Well, I would just say, the first thing you said, there's a lot you said that was great, but I was one of those coaches who had like so many years I've been coaching CrossFit since 2011 or 2012. And I had so many years of experience, and so much of it was like, there was a lot I was doing that was lazy. Like I was making lazy choices just because I was running an affiliate. I was a little overworked, and I would just choose some lazy choices as I was going through it. And so that was like kind of the first thing. And Pete kind of called me out on that, which was great. But then the frustrating part was unlearning some bad habits, right? Especially when, like you said, you video it, you see it. It's like, hey, that heavy day, you just had people going like crazy. Let's see how many touch points you had with everyone. And let's see if your kind of heat map for the group was even. And obviously when you're not controlling the group at all, and you have 18 people in your class, it's not going to be that even. And so just seeing those little bad habits, and then the frustration of trying to break some of those habits, I would really encourage people just to avoid getting them. Like, so if you're a newer, if you're a newer coach, start on this now, seek out mentorship now. Like I didn't have a ton of mentorship growing up coaching CrossFit. And I wasn't fortunate enough to be on seminar staff, anything like that. So just seek it out now, because breaking some of those habits is really, it's like any other bad habit. You got to break something, and it's kind of challenging. And so that's would be like my big thing there, is like, it's good to see it as soon as you can, and challenge yourself as soon as you can. And I think like, you don't have to be an affiliate owner. You just choose it on your own. Like I have a buddy who isn't, he just was a CrossFit coach. And he took it and passed the online version, and he hasn't been coaching that long. And it's really great, because he obviously probably hadn't developed some of the bad habits that some of us maybe had, but just that enthusiasm is really awesome to see. And so I would really encourage people to do that now.
I have a coach doing the in-person hybrid at Industry this weekend as we're recording it. Sorry, this upcoming weekend. And she's like, if I'm being honest, it's just my prep for the level 4. I'm like, fuck yeah, dude, let's go. Like, and I think of Christina, like in her fast rise was because A, B, C, and D, she did the work. She put herself in the positions. But then when she was working at Marshfield with Joe, it was like, this is just how you coach. And I think the interesting thing, we often think about a high skill anything, you're like, you have to be really bad before you have to be really good. And I never really thought about this till now. It's like, no one said that about CrossFit coaching. You could technically be good and then just keep getting gooder. Like you don't feel like you have to be terrible in order to
our
get to the point.
our
It's just,
least experienced coach is better than I was at coaching like 5 years ago.
I
Right?
had to explain to my 4-year-old. I was saying, you know how you fall asleep? You pretend to be asleep, and then it happens. And as I'm saying this to a 4-year-old, he's like, yeah, that's how we do things. You pretend it first. You go out there and pretend you're the world's best coach.
well, I think about like setting the standard in a way too, is like, we've talked about coach development, and I bet all 4 of us have 4 different ways. And really, like, one of the things all 4 of us would do, as well as our teammates, is like, we're just going to coach the way we coach and set the standard for them and lead for them. And really, like, the more coaches doing that, with their salt shaker in the center of the table, the way it should be, not just saying that, as well as pursuing these things, then that's where Canada and CrossFit is going to succeed overall. And there's sirens,
They're
which
coming
means
for us.
on that note, 3,
Yeah.
2, 1, time.